what we allow our children to watch, especially online. A stat came out this week that 109 out of the 300 pieces of kids content on Netflix are LGBTQ plus. Like they have,
It's an agenda.
it's an agenda in a third of the things on Netflix that we just let our kids, it just goes on autoplay. So one thing will play and then it'll take it to a like show and a like show. YouTube's the same way, YouTube Kids. It's wild what all these platforms are doing to indoctrinate our kids. Speaking of the soul, we wanted to show this clip of Erika this week challenging parents and how to raise their kids so that this doesn't continue to happen.
Yeah, because this oftentimes starts with mental health. And you've got to check yourself, like, am I living online? Am I bitter? Am I starting to get suicidal ideation, or am I starting to fantasize about harming others? I mean, there are some indicators that you're getting darker and not doing well.
Yep, 100%. Well, let's roll that clip, guys.
I will never agree with political violence. My husband is a victim of it. I'm a victim of it. But what I'm trying to say here is that we can blame everyone else. We have to look in the mirror. When you become a father, when you become a mother, how are you raising your kids? Are you taking responsibility, or are you giving them a device and saying, go down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to go to Pilates class. You can just sit in the corner and look at your iPad or look at your phone and go down that rabbit hole and see what you can learn from that instead of being a parent. So my call to action from that is, parents, step up. Do you want your kid to be a thought leader or an assassin? That's where we're at.
Do you think our political leaders have a responsibility to turn the temperature down right now?
Well, I think everyone has a responsibility to do that, and I'm doing my part. I'm not in control of other people.
Interviewer just takes it right back to the 10,000-foot view, and Erika's trying to get granular and deal with the parents.
Yeah.
Because that's where this stuff really starts. Because, I mean, we're raising a son. He's 2. He's awesome. The thing he doesn't ever get is screens. Like, maybe on a flight for an hour, he'll watch a screen. But that's the only thing, because he's a little boy and it's hard to fly. But it is wild what we allow our children to watch, especially online. A stat came out this week that 109 out of the 300 pieces of kids content on Netflix are LGBTQ plus. Like they have,
It's an agenda.
it's an agenda in a third of the things on Netflix that we just let our kids, it just goes on autoplay. So one thing will play and then it'll take it to a like show and a like show. YouTube's the same way, YouTube Kids. It's wild what all these platforms are doing to indoctrinate our kids. So we're really cautious, but do you believe Erika's right in calling out the parents in this?
Yeah, no, I absolutely. And parents will give an account to God. And at the end of the day, if you don't parent your child, you are responsible in the sight of God. And I appreciate Erika, and I love Erika. I respect Erika. And I would just say to everyone, pray for her. They're going into AmFest this week, which is a massive event. They've got security issues. J.D. Vance will be there. We know a lot of the team. It's an event without Charlie, so it's going to be very complicated. And Erika's in a double bind. She's in an impossible position. We were talking about this off show. Like if she goes out and does media events, they're saying she's a terrible mother. She's not home with her kids. If she's home with her kids, they're saying she's a terrible leader. She's not out doing events. She's just going to get criticized either way. And she's a wonderful woman doing a great job under impossible circumstances. So pray for her and pray for her family and pray for her team going into AmFest. But statistically, we know that by the time a child graduates from high school, they spend more time on a screen today, substantially more time on a screen than they do in a classroom. That means that this is the primary influence on the raising of a human being. Well, that's a terrifying fact. And, to me, I grew up, what's wild is I grew up before the internet.
See, anyone my age is like, man, that would be really nice. Like, it's just a lot how much data we have all the time.
Well, I graduated from college before the internet. I have a degree in communications before the internet. So like your generation and your son's generation, it seems normative. It's very new. And so from my perspective, we're running a massive psychological experiment. We have no idea what the outcome is. All of the early indicators are it's devastating and causes mental health, suicidal ideation, brokenness. And there is the more time you spend online and the younger you start, the worse your life and future. There is no indicator that it has any benefit.
So do you think parents should be more cautious and concerned about Netflix than the Jews? Like, we're so worried about the big picture. Oh, the Jews are like all these, like Islam, all this stuff. Well, what about in your house?
Yeah.
That seems to be where Erika's taking it, where you preach a lot.
Yeah, I think you've got to guard what comes into the technology of your home, especially when your children are younger. You've got to be very wary and careful at what age you give them a phone. A dumb phone probably today is a really good idea, so you can get them in case of an emergency. Yeah, and I would say too, when you send your kids over to someone's house, who is there? What is there? What are the ground rules? Like if you're sending someone over regularly to play at someone's house or for overnights, I mean, what are the rules there? What is happening? What is the exposure? We're living in a day that honestly is custom built to break and to create mental health for children. This is not a culture that is built to raise a child. It's built to break a child.
So a parent that's letting their kids have a lot of screen time, including just like free screen time on Netflix, can that let the demonic into their kid's
Absolutely,
life?
yeah. I mean, well, all of a sudden the child is probably getting a lot of anxiety. They're getting normalized sexuality and LGBTQIA, whatever the alphabet soup is. And also then, particularly with young boys, if they're into video games, now they're into pretty hardcore, realistic violence and shooting. So you put mental health, sexual perversion, and violence together, you're like, at an age when the brain isn't fully formed and can't really process, and now you're blurring the line between reality and fantasy. And then you add to that, let's say in video games, like chat rooms and interaction, and now you've got adults that are grooming them, and you've opened up a portal into complete demonic abuse and perversion. I mean, you've got gateway to sexual perversion, violence, adult coercion, dopamine hits on the front of the brain that isn't yet fully formed. And the question is, well, what does that child do? Probably nothing that looks like the fruit of the Spirit.
100%. And so I think Erika's point, like this Tyler Robinson kid, he was raised in a conservative Mormon household, all of a sudden ends up in transgender groups, sleeping with a guy, boyfriend, just in a group with furries, like all this weird stuff. And he's only like a few years out of the household. This starts when you're raising your sons.
Yeah, and what's weird too, it's just a weird like fact. So also the shooter in Butler, Pennsylvania with President Trump and Tyler Robinson, the killer of Charlie Kirk, they're both in these underground, like bizarre sex fetish, furry communities. These very, small, outlier, bizarre sex fetish groups, but they're producing, shooters.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's strange. And what you've got too with a lot of the shootings at Christian schools and places of faith, the media sort of suppresses it, but it's a high proportion of transgenders, some of whom are on, hormones and puberty blockers and testosterone, and it's sort of messing with the biology of the body. And nobody's asking like, well, is this affecting their mental well-being, and is it instigating, unwell behavior? Nobody wants to ask that because it's like, well, that would be bigoted. Well, let's just ask the question and follow the facts.
Yeah. And I think something that's been brought up a lot is both those young men are exactly who Charlie was trying to reach.
Exactly.
And it's exactly who you try to reach with a lot of your teaching. So to either of those young men, or a young man that is being radicalized right now that could go make this decision, if they were sitting in my seat, what would you tell them?
Well, what is appealing to radical jihadist young men, what is appealing to radical anti-Semitic young men, what is appealing to perverted radical trans young men, the underlying issue for most of them is bitterness. They're bitter against someone or something. They feel like somehow someone or something has failed them and owes them, and so they get bitter. And bitterness is a deep demonic root. And Satan and demons, they get a foothold, the Bible says, through bitterness. So even if you feel that you've been wronged, you have to forgive, and then you need to choose, as a man, to press through that which you feel is unjust and wrong, and you need to press into your future, get through your bitterness, so that you can move on to your destiny and your legacy. And so, whether it is the heterosexuals that suppressed you, or it's the Jews that have suppressed you, or it's, the colonialists that have suppressed you, whatever it is, stop being a damn bitter victim and a child. Grow up and be a responsible man. Press through whatever your excuse is. Go get a job. Worship Jesus Christ, repent of your own sin, take responsibility, generate revenue, be a positive contributor, stop just bitching like a baby, marry a woman, buy a house, have some kids, take responsibility, and be part of the solution, not the problem, and get off of the freaking internet with a bunch of other yahoos who are just bitter, spending their day bitching about what they should get, rather than getting off the internet and doing what they should do.
Love it.
Thanks for watching this video. It's a great honor to help you learn the Bible. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I promise you there'll be more to come.